How you guys doing? Happy Monday. Today in current events, every Monday I want to bring to you what's going on in the debt and collections world. I want to talk about two topics that are pretty prevalent now that I believe can help a lot of people. Number one, the battle between tenants and landlords with the COVID-19 going on and evictions and all of that type of stuff that's happening right now. Secondly, I want to talk about the CFPB, which stands for the Consumer Finance Bureau. So stay tuned. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector. Now, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. I've done it all, from skip tracing to collecting to management, and I've owned 2 debt collection agencies. For the past 8 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions regarding debt and credit, and now I want to be that person for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Let's go. Be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to do that. It helps me grow this channel. It helps me to continue to bring you great information with regards to credit and debt. Let's talk about the issues at hand with regards to landlords and tenants. That is a battle that's going to be happening probably for the next 2 to 3 years. From between now and the 2 to 3 years, obviously due to COVID-19, there are a lot of people who lost their jobs, a lot of people who weren't working, who aren't able to pay their rent. Now, let's face it, there are a lot of tenants out there who are taking advantage of what's going on and not paying and can actually pay, as well as there are some landlords out there who are probably being a little more rude. Now, ideally, I have aspirations of obviously being a landlord and purchasing some property and having tenants. So, there's always 2 sides to every story with regards to that. But let's get into it. The CDC eviction ban reaches Supreme Court. So basically, a residential tenant cannot be evicted for lack of payment if they meet certain requirements related to COVID-19. Under the ruling by the CDC, that is being challenged by landlords. So understand, landlords right now, there are a lot of landlords in specific states, certain states out there, who haven't been paid rent for a long time. Some people even up to a year. But nevertheless, the landlords are coming together and they're trying to figure out a way to either be able to evict the people who can't pay or, obviously get payment with regards to getting paid. Obviously, I talked before with regards to the renters assistance and so forth. But, obviously, as we know, dealing with the government, everything that happens, things don't happen in a timely manner for whatever reason, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And so this is causing an issue with regards to a lot of stuff. A lot of times as a tenant, you look at a landlord and you look at them like, well, hey, they're making lots of money in certain aspects of life and they can afford to not actually pay. As a landlord, with regards to your mortgage, you got mortgage forgiveness. Mortgage forbearance is what it was called. And up to a certain amount of time, if you owned a property or if you had apartment complexes with regards to the guidelines that were funded by the government, you can give mortgage forbearance. But obviously, if your mortgages were private and weren't government backed, then you weren't able to get that. So there are a lot of tenants out there who haven't paid. There are a lot of landlords who probably are owing a lot of money. And you got to understand, there are a lot of landlords out there that are just starting out who may only have renting a 1-unit apartment or, a 4-unit apartment, or may only be renting a house. And them not paying that tenant puts a burden on the landlord. So there's always 2 sides to it. But in Colorado, lawmakers passed a bill to make it harder for landlords to evict. Basically, the bill guarantees renters a week-long grace period before they could be charged late fees. At the present, landlords can charge late fees after just 1 day, without a cap on how high those fees can rise. The bill will restrict late fees to either $50 or 5% of the overdue rent, whichever is higher, and landlords could only charge late fees once per late rent payment. So Obviously, I'm not sure how it goes in Colorado. Obviously, I've lived in California. I lived in Ohio as well. Typically, once you're late in the state of California, they'll give you a grace period. So if the bill's due on the 1st, then they can typically wait till about the 5th. After the 5th, they'll charge you a late fee depending on what it is. In Colorado, after that first day, according to this ordinance, they can charge you, but now they're going to put a cap on it. And to be honest with you, I sort of kind of get that on the landlord side, just because of what's happening with regards to payments and everything that's transpiring. If you can't afford to pay the rent, then you get the late payments and all of that. I've just never really understood all of that circumstance, but obviously that stuff is set up because you as a landlord are going to have to pay the mortgage on the loan that you have from them. And so you want good tenants living with you. Now, in a change of event, the CFPB recently issued a consent order against an auto finance company for illegally charging consumers interest and late payments of its loss damage waiver fee without their knowledge. Okay, let's go into more about this. The CFPB found that between 2016 and 2021, the company violated the Consumer Financial Protection Act of 2010, right? Through their engagement in unfair practices, the company, which services subprime auto loans that were originated by car dealers and later assigned to the Auto Financial Group, requires its customers to agree that if they had insufficient insurance coverage for their cars, the company would add loss damage waiver coverage to their accounts. This coverage for a monthly fee would cover cancellation of the consumer's debt if in the event of the total vehicle loss or if the cost of a repair. So as we see, people are always going to take advantage of the disenfranchised and the less fortunate people. Why? Because of the knowledge. A lot of times you just don't know. If you don't understand finances, you don't understand credit, then you can have companies that'll come in, charge you all kinds of other fees that you don't even know. And because your credit is bad, you sort of kind of accept it, right? I always tell people before applying for cars, before doing those types of things, clean up your credit. Take care of your credit. Otherwise, you can have issues with regards to people charging. Now, the order requires that the company provides over $500,000 in consumer relief to the over 5,000 harmed customers, correct harmed customers' credit records, so clean that up, and pay a $50,000 civil penalty. The order also prohibits the company from charging interest on late payments without disclosing costs and imposes compliance reporting and record-keeping requirements. So the reality is it's just like that. Whenever you go to a car lot or you go to a pot lot and you see bad credit, welcome in-house financing, typically you're dealing with subprime people, and that subprime people are people with credit scores probably in the low 6s down to the 4s or the 3s. And that's the situation with regards to that. So understand that. Protect yourselves. Get your credit right. But for those of you who have been taken advantage of, who have no knowledge of it, obviously there are people out there looking out for your back with concern to that. Now, if you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. As always, you be great. And don't forget to like and subscribe.